After Becky Lynch humiliated CM Punk on this week's Raw, and with Punk dropping several teases throughout the show, all eyes now turn to SmackDown in Chicago on September 5th. Fans are highly expecting AJ Lee to make her long-awaited return, with speculation pointing to a blockbuster mixed tag at WrestlePalooza on ESPN, CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. According to Fightful Select, not only is the mixed tag match set, they also noted that AJ Lee's comeback isn't necessarily a one-off deal. WWE is hopeful they can do more with her going forward, but even if this appearance stands alone, they're simply glad to have her back in the mix. Many WWE superstars backstage have admitted they haven't seen or spoken to AJ since she left, though she has mainly kept friendly ties. The excitement is especially high among the current women's roster, many of whom grew up watching her. But AJ may not return alone. Rumors, emphasis on rumors, suggest her former rival turned ally Paige could come back alongside her. Speculation picked up after Zaria dropped the eye emoji on social media, hinting that she's watching everything unfold. Their shared history writes itself. Paige debuted in 2014 by defeating AJ for the Divas Championship. An intense rivalry followed for months, and at WrestleMania 2015, AJ saved Paige from a 2-on-1 attack before the two teamed up shortly before AJ's retirement. Relinking them now around Punk, Rollins, and Lynch would add immediate depth whether they reunite or collide. WrestlePalooza is set to air on the same night as AEW's All Out, fueling talk that WWE is stacking its card to undercut the competition. It's also WWE's first ever premium live event on ESPN, with major matches, returns, and storyline payoffs planned to make it stand out. One of the major matches confirmed by PW Insider is a match between Brock Lesnar and John Cena. Yet fans remain divided on one key issue: why are Cena and Lesnar facing off during Cena's Unseen 17 farewell tour, and why exactly has the Beast been brought back now? More importantly, what was the motivation behind Lesnar's shocking attack on Cena at SummerSlam? WWE has yet to provide answers. Well, to have answers, we need a solid confrontation. Let's break down both wrestlers' schedules until WrestlePalooza. Cena is advertised for this week's SmackDown in Chicago, as well as the September 15th edition of Raw. Lesnar, meanwhile, is being promoted for the September 12th SmackDown in Norfolk and the September 19th SmackDown in Toledo. With their appearances not overlapping, the only realistic chance for a face-to-face before WrestlePalooza is this Friday in Chicago. Fans may also recall Nick Aldis hinted he'd spoken with Lesnar, but that thread was dropped when Logan Paul blindsided Cena. Since then, neither Aldis nor WWE has followed up. Should WWE provide a clear explanation for Brock Lesnar's attack on John Cena at SummerSlam, or does the sheer spectacle of the match make that unnecessary? On Raw, fans witnessed the emotional Usos reunion when Jimmy saved Jay from a brutal beatdown by Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. In a heartfelt moment, Jay told Jimmy, "I can't do this alone, I need you." The exchange strongly hinted Jay's singles run is ending, with Triple H subtly confirming the 40-year-old is moving back to the tag division. Besides, Jey Uso is currently at odds with LA Knight, and without Roman Reigns at his side in his battle against the Vision, bringing Jimmy back into the fold is a clear signal that WWE is steering toward a full Usos resurgence. Jay's run as a single star appears to have reached its end, with expectations that he will now reunite with Jimmy in the tag division moving forward. According to PW Insider, WWE has already locked in a tag team match for WrestlePalooza, pitting the Usos against the Vision's Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. The women's division also has a major pivot. With Naomi vacating the Women's World Championship, WWE has officially announced Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer for the vacant title in Indianapolis. Between AJ Lee's expected return, Paige's rumored comeback, Lesnar vs. Cena, the Usos reunion, and a new women's title match, WWE is positioning WrestlePalooza as more than just another stop. It's the launch of their ESPN era, and they're making sure it feels monumental. Do you think WWE's first PLE on ESPN will deliver on the hype? And on Lesnar vs. Cena, does WWE owe fans a clear explanation, or are you happy to enjoy the match without one? Former WWE star Lana, real name CJ Perry, was spotted in the crowd during Clash in Paris this past weekend, and her presence didn't go unnoticed. She was in attendance to support her husband Rusev in what was a rare public appearance at a WWE event. Lana's connection to WWE dates back to 2013 when she managed Rusev during his early run. The pairing helped establish him as one of the most dominant heels of that era, with Lana's presence becoming just as much a part of his act as his in-ring dominance. After nearly 8 years with the company, she was released in 2021, and this marks the first time she's been seen at a WWE show since her departure. Her appearance in Paris was not part of any storyline or creative angle. Instead, it looked to be a personal gesture of support, made even more significant following her reconciliation with Rusev earlier this year after their very public separation. Still, the sighting has sparked speculation. While there is no official confirmation of a WWE return, fans immediately began questioning if the company might bring her back to television. Do you think WWE should bring Lana back to television to recreate some of that Rusev Day magic, or should her appearance in Paris remain a one-time show of support? Enjoying the video? A quick like goes a long way in helping us grow and deliver more wrestling news you care about. AEW President Tony Khan may run the company the way he sees fit, but not everyone believes his approach is earning the right results. In fact, some voices in the wrestling world claim that many talent in AEW don't actually respect him as a leader. Speaking on the Keeping It 100 podcast, Conan didn't hold back in his criticism of Khan. He described the AEW boss as a money mark who gained access to places most people couldn't and often throws tantrums. Conan argued that Khan lacks true leadership qualities, stressing that leaders are either born or taught, and in his view, Khan is neither. Instead, he comes across as weak and indecisive, frequently saying one thing and then changing his mind. According to Conan, several wrestlers in AEW choose not to challenge Khan simply because they're being paid well. Rather than push back, they go along with his decisions, even if they don't actually respect or care about his ideas. Conan believes this creates a dangerous environment where money takes precedence over genuine leadership. He went further by saying Khan is fully aware of the power he holds, but the respect from talent isn't there. Conan made it clear this wasn't bitterness on his part or an issue related to CMLL. Instead, he emphasized that he was being honest about what he sees. He even pointed out that other names, like Jake Hager, have echoed similar sentiments. In his opinion, more wrestlers will eventually speak out and confirm what he's saying. Conan closed his remarks by stating he has no reason to exaggerate or fabricate anything, insisting he's simply telling it how it is. Do you believe Tony Khan has failed to earn genuine respect from AEW talent, or are these claims being overstated? Share your thoughts in the comments below. During the August 30th episode of AEW Collision, fans were hit with a cryptic vignette teasing a darker version of Hologram, ominously labeled The Clone. The brief tease sparked days of speculation about who might be behind the new identity, with theories running wild across social media. That mystery has now been solved. According to Lucha Blog, the clone is none other than Mexican wrestler Ares. AEW had looked at bringing him in previously and even expressed interest, but with the roster already packed, there was no rush to sign him. That stance shifted after two key developments. First, AEW staff watched Ares compete on the Dean 2 show and came away impressed with his performance. Second, WWE recently altered its recruitment approach, moving away from CMLL talent and focusing more on independent wrestlers. Ares caught their attention, and WWE reportedly wanted him back in AAA as part of their growing relationship with the promotion. When WWE made an offer, Ares informed AEW, which pushed Tony Khan's company to act quickly. AEW countered with a deal of their own, and Ares ultimately chose AEW over WWE. With his debut as the Clone, AEW not only secured a talented luchador, but also blocked WWE from expanding further into AAA territory. How AEW books this fresh storyline with Hologram will be worth watching in the weeks ahead. NXT opened with Javon Evans stepping into the ring to address the fans after once again falling short in his bid to dethrone Oba Femi as NXT champion. His struggle to get through the promo reflected exactly what he's feeling right now, frustration and doubt creeping in after another missed opportunity. Evans stammered through his emotional promo, admitting that his confidence had been knocked with his latest failed attempt. However, there was then an eerie tease that led fans to wonder if The Undertaker would appear, but anyone expecting the dead man was disappointed as Josh Briggs was the man who appeared. He decided to mock Evans in that moment, telling him to man up before he floored him with a cheap shot and then took things to the next level. Briggs got a chair and delivered a devastating chokeslam onto it, with Evans' head clipping the steel on the way down in a brutal-looking spot. Ava ended up confirming that the two men will meet in a singles match next week, only if Evans stayed away from Briggs for the rest of the show and didn't seek revenge. The decision to tease The Undertaker was a smart one in the end, as it got a big crowd reaction, with fans booing Briggs massively when he arrived. However, it will remain to be seen if that was just a one-off tease, or if The Undertaker himself is eventually going to appear and teach Briggs a lesson once and for all. Either way, the segment itself was effective, and it pushed Briggs as one of the top heels in NXT as he continues to build momentum and prove that he might end up being a future champion, especially with Femi possibly being set for a main roster push. Elsewhere, the inaugural WWE Speed Women's Champion Candice LeRae had the opportunity to advance in the #1 Contenders tournament and a shot at the title she helped introduce to the industry when she battled TNA Wrestling's Zaria Brookside in an opening round match. It proved to be an action-packed match featuring numerous non-stop moves and counters that perfectly suited the WWE Speed branding, but in the end, it was LeRae's experience that won out. She delivered a tornado DDT and then hit a springboard moonsault to get the win, as she'll now face either Lainey Reed or AAA's Fabi Apache. WWE Speed has proven to be a failed concept so far, which is why it was ultimately pulled from Twitter. The show was originally designed to be an exclusive attraction for the social media platform. Fans lost interest in that, primarily due to the 3-minute match format, which often undermines the wrestlers rather than elevating them. The idea that someone can lose in 3 minutes but then have competitive matches whenever they're not in a speed match isn't ideal, as it breaks wrestling logic, which is what the sport is built upon. If someone can win in 3 minutes, then the question arises as to why they cannot do so all the time in their other bouts, and that inconsistency is where the problem lies. WWE's insistence on continuing to push the Speed Championship feels like a mistake, as there are other ways that talent can be showcased and pushed with genuine stakes for them to be invested in. While the Women's Speed Championship is moving to NXT, there's been no update on the men's title, which is technically held by El Grande Americano. What do you think about the WWE Speed concept, and are you glad it's being used in NXT? Let us know in the comments below. Ava was then shown backstage announcing a huge triple threat #1 Contenders match featuring Fallon, Henley, and Jazmyn, the Cullings, Izzi, Dame, and Tatum Paxley, and the team of Sol Ruca and Zaria. The winning team will get a future Women's Tag Team Championship match against Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, providing them with a massive opportunity against two of WWE's biggest stars. Meanwhile, Ethan Page and Tavion Heights had a confrontation backstage, and Ava revealed that they'll wrestle next week in a flag match. It's a unique stipulation that hasn't been used in a while, with John Cena and Rusev's 2017 match being a notable example of the stipulation. TNA World Champion Trick Williams was also in the house this week as he addressed the fans, claiming he's cared for NXT more than others, but added that as soon as he's earning main roster money, that'll stop. This is when two former NXT legends, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, appeared, who received huge welcome home chants, with the WWE Universe evidently being thrilled to have them back on the show. They stood across the ring from Williams and referenced other NXT stars from their era, such as Bobby Roode and the Undisputed Era, hinting that they intend to be involved in the homecoming event. There are lots of possibilities here, from singles matches with either Ciampa and Gargano against Williams to a huge tag team bout if Trick can get a partner. Regardless of the future, this segment ended with them laying out Williams as the 10-year anniversary of DIY's NXT debut was celebrated. Williams claimed he'll answer them back next week, proving that the issue between them all is far from over. How should WWE book this feud? If they're planning for a tag team match, who should be Trick Williams' partner? Let us know in the comments. Jordynne Grace was able to pick up a big win in the women's division this week as she defeated Evolve Women's Champion Callie Armstrong in a match that had been set up earlier in the night via a backstage segment. The match featured plenty of great moments, with one seeing Armstrong's suplex attempt be countered by Grace, only to be countered back by the Evolve star in a brilliant moment. But the real talking point came after the bell when Blake Monroe appeared and a wild brawl began. Monroe eventually ended up on her knees with blood coming from her mouth in a truly intense moment. She sold the entire situation perfectly, with a combination of visible anger and shock as she realized what had happened. It worked well due to how much she leans on her looks as part of her gimmick, and is something Monroe won't take lightly. It was a great segment that saw the inexperienced Armstrong benefit from working with a top pro in Grace, learning in the moment to develop her skills. It's what NXT has built itself on over the years, and it will have helped Armstrong massively. Meanwhile, Grace and Monroe's issues are far from over, and it appears they're destined for another match at one of the upcoming major NXT events, with their star power being big enough that they could headline one. Another match set up from a backstage confrontation was Andre Chase versus Josh Briggs, and this was a hard-hitting encounter. Briggs overwhelmed Chase early on, only for the popular babyface to fire back and lay into his opponent, coming close to securing the win at one point. Briggs ended up mowing over Chase and picked up the win in a decisive and dominant fashion, with his aggression continuing after the bell as he destroyed Cal Dixon and Uriah Connors, putting the latter through the announce table. Evans didn't get involved, which means their match is official for next week. However, what is clear is that the fans absolutely hate Briggs as he receives huge reactions. Whether it's the right kind of heat is up for debate, but there's no denying it with the effectiveness of Chase's near falls as fans bought into all of it. Jaida Parker and Lash legend both have their eyes on the NXT Women's Championship, and they met in the middle of the ring this week in the opening match to start the show in an intense manner. The two women shifted control back and forth as they each had the opportunity to showcase their qualities, but it was when the fight spilled outside the ring that Legend took advantage. She delivered a big boot and the Lash extension into the commentary table, which was the difference maker. She then hit her finisher a second time inside the ring to secure an important win for her career. However, Parker didn't take that loss well as she blindsided Legend after the match on her way out, using her hypnotic control to drive her through the barricade in an impressive feat of strength. It was a powerful statement and brought the intensity that people have been wanting from Jaida in recent weeks, marking a real turning point for her character. It's unclear whether it was a heel move or simply frustration at the match result, but either way, it was an impactful moment that was very much needed. The attack showcases that the issues between these two ladies is far from over, suggesting that there could be another match in the near future. This might go down at the NXT Homecoming show on September 16th, or even at No Mercy on September 27th. They're two of the brightest stars in NXT's women's division who are no doubt going to be main roster bound within the year, and a competitive match such as this won't hurt their chances. While it didn't reinvent the wheel in terms of what they did, the quality was obvious, and it showed how much they've both developed over their time in NXT. There was a promo video for Lola Vice on this week's episode that hinted at her being put in a position to capture the NXT Women's Championship, which would be a big moment in her career. The vignette highlighted her life and career journey, which is something WWE typically does only for those building toward a significant moment in their careers. This means this could be a sign of big things to come for Vice. Prior to the main event, a video package aired for Dark State, arguably their best vignette to date, as the group continues to go from strength to strength. They outlined each of their accomplishments before WWE, while Deion Lennox remembered a moment when Trick Williams just pushed past him and Obafemi thought he'd never be a world champion. They'd established their goals and motives, even referencing their past as WWE security guards and how that experience is a route to success, breaking the fourth wall in an impactful manner. And we're ending with that faction competing in the main event against Femi, Ricky Saints, and the team of Hank Walker and Tank Ledger in what was a blockbuster match. The babyfaces started hot, with Saints and Femi showing off before their upcoming NXT Championship match, but the heels managed to take control eventually, with Walker being singled out and isolated. Ledger eventually got to make the hot tag as he exploded into the ring by wiping out everyone in his way. This included Griffin and James at ringside, who were hit with a tope suicida. There was eventually a misfire between Saints and Femi, which led to a brawl, and when Walker was in James's grasp, he ended up uttering the name of Joe Hendry. As you say his name, he appears, and the former TNA World Champion then popped up, which led to the finish. The babyfaces ended up defeating Dark State, while Saints and Femi brawled to close the show. Seeing their partnership break down but not cost their team the match was refreshing, given how WWE usually books things, while it also promoted their individual rivalry. However, it could be argued that this was an opportune time to go down the normal route of having their fallout cost the team, as Dark State could have done with maintaining their momentum right now. How did you find this week's episode of NXT? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.